Hey, this is Politics with Laura. Oh my goodness. Just when you think you haven't seen anything, you're getting ready to see it. Oh man. The Republican Party, it has WWE. You got this, you got elbows, you got roundhouses, you got the people's elbow. Okay. You got what I mean. Now, more restraint. The Republican Party, or shall I say, a federal conservative judge, retired, is coming out saying, "Hey, keep Trump off the ballot. Keep him off." Nah, it's over for him. I'm thinking, oh, it's getting ready to go down. But let me give you a little background info on this. A former conservative federal appellate judge is urging the Supreme Court to keep Donald Trump off the ballot, arguing that the ex-president's effort to cling to power after his 2020 election loss was broader than South Carolina's cession from the U.S. to trigger the Civil War. That's a big statement. Huge, huge, huge. And some people whom are calling him a rhino, some people call Donald Trump a GOP. He's none of those things. Donald Trump is in no man's land. He has some Republicans who don't like him. Majority of the Democrats can't they loathe him. Oh my goodness. Oh my. It's a mess. It is a complete mess. And Donald Trump did that. So there are some people of the school of thought: the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And there's some truth to it, depending on which side you're looking at. Now, if you're looking at illegal immigrants, the enemy of my enemy is my enemy. Because he wants to. Oh my goodness. I'm not laughing. Okay. I'm not laughing at their situation. No, it's terrible to be in that situation. You flee. I don't know who told you to leave your country to begin with. I don't know. Somebody put that in your ear. You're watching TV. I don't know what it is that made you one day get up and say, "Oh, I'm going to put some clothes in a bag. I'm going to put it on my back, and I'm going to go ahead and go up north to a language that I don't know. And I'm going to go there because they're giving out free stuff." I don't know why you did that, but I'm going to leave it right there. Then you have other people that are like, the enemy of my enemy, I think may be my enemy, but he gave me a lot of business loans. He gave me this, he gave me that. For Black Americans, did well under Trump. I mean, it was like, it's raining money, opportunities, not equality. What is it called? Not equality of outcome, but equality of opportunity. He gave opportunities, and you could go through that door and you get it yourself, and then you make what you need to make out of it because I'm giving you the opportunity. I mean, I could go on down a list. I can go on because Donald Trump, he's on both sides of the aisle. I can't stand him. He don't. But I digress. Let's hear it for himself. This right here is, who is it? Fair use.
An influential group of Republican legal voices today endorsed the January 2024 trial date proposed by special counsel Jack Smith. in his 2020 election interference case against former President Donald Trump. The group included former Attorney General Alberto Gonzales, appointed by George W. Bush, and J. Michael Ludig, a retired federal appellate judge and one of the nation's leading conservative legal minds. Judy Woodruff recently visited Judge Ludig at his home in Colorado as part of her ongoing series, America at a Crossroads.
I understood the gravity of this matter, and I understood from my lifetime of experience in and around those offices and those institutions that this was catastrophic for America and for American democracy.
Retired Judge Michael Ludig.
Okay, I find it quite interesting. Now, conservative, a Republican, but for him to be a retired federal judge for the appellate courts, he's talking about the democracy, and we're a republic. So, are you going along with Congress? I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to leave it alone. I already dropped a video about YT already. You didn't hear me say that.
Ludig is one of the most influential conservatives to have served in the federal judiciary. He clerked for Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia while he was on the appellate circuit, served as assistant counsel to President Ronald Reagan, and was the assistant attorney general under President George H.W. Bush, who later appointed him to the United States Court of Appeals. He was twice considered for nomination himself to the Supreme Court.
I felt that I had a profound obligation to the country to speak and to explain all of what had happened.
Well known in Republican legal circles, Ludig burst into public view when on January 5, 2021, he advised then Vice President Mike Pence to defy former President Trump's plea not to certify the 2020 election results.
Oh, that's where that came from. Oh, wow. Okay. Now things are starting to make sense. I didn't understand what was going on behind the scenes. I knew something was going on. I just didn't know what. And I didn't know whom. So it was him. Oh man, Pence took flack. Oh, but let's get to what he has to say.
Ludig, thank you as well for being here with us today.
Ludig spoke about it in dramatic testimony more than...
Wait a minute. Liz Cheney hates Trump. Oh my goodness. She's a Republican. Like I said, Trump is in no man's land. You have some Republicans that like Trump, or if not like, have either a certain respect for him or understand where he's going. Okay. Then you have Republicans like Liz Cheney, who was so laser focused on hating him so much. And yes, I'm saying hate because you ought to see how she went after him. She went after him so hard to where she lost her seat in Colorado. Why did you rehire her? I don't know. But let's finish.
Than a year later, before the House January 6th committee that was investigating the insurrection.
Donald Trump and his allies and supporters are a clear and present danger to American democracy.
Challenging Trump so publicly thrust him into the hot lights of American politics, where he's been ever since. We sat down with Judge Ludig at his home in Vail, Colorado, to talk about where the country is in the aftermath of the past 2.5 tumultuous years. You've been saying for months that Americans have lost their moral compass, and that with this loss of direction, Americans have lost all perspective. What brought you to that conclusion?
For almost 250 years, Judy, there was all but a consensus among the American public on the fundamental values and principles on which America was founded. And then all of a sudden, it seems we don't agree on anything at all. We have not talked to each other as friends and fellow citizens, Americans who share the same destiny and have the same hopes and dreams for America for 6 or 8 years now.
And that being the case, you're still confident that there's more that we have to agree on?
I am. I know that there's more that we agree on than that we disagree on. Our officials and our elected leaders have talked to the nation and talked to we Americans as if we were enemies of each other. And we've never been enemies of each other.
Is that done by design? Is that done by, based on what he's saying, is that Americans can't talk to each other? I mean, I'm sorry, the politicians can't talk to each other, and then when they come to us, then we are out screaming at each other, and you just and you'll hear conversations, and people would start yelling at you, or it's so overly emotional. But I just find it that he's only focusing on Trump. And by him being an appellate judge to uphold the democracy, not the republic, but the democracy, that he hasn't said anything about Biden. My thing is this: if you're going to look right, also look left. An equal opportunity flogging. Okay, yeah. I mean, Trump does give you a lot to work with to want to just, I get it. Yes, true. But let's not forget about the other side. Look at us now. But, okay.
Timeline of the past 10, 15, 20 years, leaders on both sides of the aisle have failed us. But as of today, and for the past 2.5 years, since January 6th, 2021, it has been the Republicans who have reprehensively failed us as Americans.
Okay. Hold on. Stop the press. Stop. Let's rewind. The Republicans? Sir, have you been checking out Nancy Pelosi? Have you checked out Yoganda, whatever her name is, Pittman, the chief of Capitol Hill Police? Have you checked them out? So you're only looking at the Republicans, just the Republicans. Sir, I think in your coffee, you put a little bit too much bias in there. Just a thought.
On January 6th, the former president and the Republican his allies and supporters declared war on American democracy.
How much responsibility does former President Trump himself bear for all this?
He bears disproportionate share of responsibility, if not the entire responsibility. The former president sought to overturn an American election, which he had lost fair and square, for
Oh my goodness. Are you sure this guy is a federal conservative appellate court judge that is supposed to uphold the Constitution? That's what the appellate court judge does. It looks at the lower courts to make sure that they're not messing up or making a muck of anything, to make sure that they are going according to the law and not leaning into their own understanding, which they do all the time. Sir, I'm just asking these questions as a citizen of the United States of America of the Republic. Just a thought. Put a little bit too much bias in your coffee?
4 years, these claims by the former president and his Republican allies have corroded and corrupted American democracy and American elections. Vast, vast numbers of Americans, into the millions, today no longer believe in the elections in the United States of America. They no longer believe in the institutions of law and democracy in America, the very pillars of our foundation. And many of those people have begun even to question the Constitution of the United States.
Okay.
you're
This
saying the
wait, I'm
damage-
sorry. This is way too much. This is way too much. We the people can question, most definitely. We the people can question, was it a fair election? And as you look at it, you know, Donald Trump has a right to sue. Hillary Clinton, I mean, Al Gore, all of the Democrats, and I was a former Democrat, okay? I was out there screaming, you need a Supreme Court needs to take a look at that. And it was done. Now, even though that, what's his name? George Bush Jr., he beat Al Gore, but Al Gore conceded, comes to find out that Al Gore won. Now, on both sides, there is some giving and taking of the count. But this 2020 election was outrageous. Outrageous. And I'm going to say the level of grabbing. Like, you could check out Easton, Pennsylvania, small town, a small city in a border of New Jersey and Pennsylvania, to where Republicans were not able to get in and to observe the count. The Democrats were hands-on, and that's not a dance move. Pushing them away, keeping them from seeing. So, sir, bias much? You're not looking at this through clear lenses. Your lenses are a little tainted with tulips and daisies on your lens because you're not seeing it clearly. I humbly state.
Done has been far, far greater than former President Trump, January 6th, and the immediate actions that were taken in that time period.
Yes, there's no question. Never again will the world be inspired by America and America's democracy in the way that it has been for since our founding almost 250 years ago. The indictment and prosecution of the president doesn't end or even begin to resolve this matter.
How much does it matter what the verdict of that trial is?
All that matters is that the president will be tried for these grave offenses. Had he not, he would have made a mockery out of the Constitution and the rule of law.
But do you worry that whether there's an acquittal or a conviction, what the effect could be?
We can expect that if the president were to be acquitted, that he and all of his supporters would claim that that was vindication, that he was right, that the 2020 presidential election was stolen from him. Were that to be the case, I don't believe that American democracy could be saved, at least in the near future.
That's a
Okay. He would be right because they were going after Trump before this. They tried to impeach the man while he wasn't even in office. I mean, just the Democrats, and when I say Democrats, I'm talking about the congressional Democrats, the congressional democracy, is after Donald Trump. And you have a certain faction of the Republican congressional parts of the democracy that's after Donald Trump. And what he's saying, what he's saying and what you see happening are like to me two different things, because they're going after him and nothing sticks because he, okay, regardless of how you may feel, okay, put how you feel aside. Put that aside and just look at the evidence. You're going to say, oh, Laura, look at you. You're backing Donald Trump. No. I'm backing the process. We are so stuck on the person and we're not looking at the processes. These people have broke processes to get Donald Trump. You see a modern day, dare I say, professional. No, I don't want to say that. No. Mm-mm. This right here is a modern day guy on the firing squad. And they're firing shots at him and it's just not hitting because it shows that he has an air of innocence about him. Now don't, Laura, blah, blah, blah. Just look at it. Look at the processes. Look at what they're doing. Look at how they're bending the Constitution to get him. But put your feelings aside and try to look at it objective. Now, one thing Liz Cheney can't do, she cannot put her feelings aside because she hates Trump so much. And it's all about J6. And if you look, he said that Donald Trump had a lot to do with it. No, he didn't. And in my opinion, this guy is being extremely either disingenuous or he may be unaware of some things that has not been made aware to him, which I highly doubt. I just think that he's had too much bias in his coffee. Okay.
That's a terrible statement to hear from.
I understand.
From you.
I understand.
Former President Trump, as you know, is already saying he's not guilty. He believes he's being treated unfairly in all this, especially in contrast to President Biden's son, Hunter Biden. He has said that he's being treated much worse by the judicial system.
The issue with Hunter Biden and the issue with the former president, they are not similar in any way at all, let alone in gravity or consequence. It's the incumbent president's son, and the personal conduct that he's being accused of is of a pedestrian nature by comparison to what the former president has now been indicted for.
Returning to something that you've spoken about in this interview, a big part of today's problems.
Pedestrian nature. Pedestrians do go to jail for treason. They get charged with treason. Hunter Biden was an active person that destabilized the ukulele country that got us in this damn position now. Pedestrian? This guy has huge huge heaps of bias in his coffee.
With what we're facing as a country has to do with political leaders, elected officials. What about individuals like Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, like Senator Lindsey Graham, who are leaders in the party but have not so far spoken out clearly against former President Trump?
Any leader, Republican or Democrat, who has not spoken against January 6th and the former president's role in it has betrayed their oath. January 6th and what the former president did is not politics, and it certainly is not partisan politics. This is far above and beyond politics. And as we now know, it's literally crimes against the United States of America. But all of our politicians, and especially the Republicans, have regarded it as nothing more than politics. In that respect, they have failed Americans. It's critical to American democracy that you have two very strong political parties who are competing against each other on the issues, the public policy issues before the nation. We can't have one party who is supporting and defending what occurred on January 6th together with the President of the United States who caused January 6th. We can't have that. We cannot function until the Republican Party comes to its senses. In my view, I don't consider the Republican Party a political party in the United States at the moment.
Ludig added that he believes the country can't be set on course again unless a number of those elected officials lose their jobs.
What we need to do is remove our power from our elected officials who have betrayed us as Americans and send to Washington others who better understand than today's officials that their power is our power.
When you think about...
Now, I agree with him on that. Yeah, I think many of the senators and Congress people need to be fired. That I do agree with, because our vote is basically saying, okay, you have the job. And we need to rescind a lot of those job applications and say you're fired and send new people there. I do agree with that. And I'm going to leave it right there because it goes on. I do agree with that, but from me being an independent, and I'm looking both at Democrats and Republicans, and he is a conservative Republican, I don't see where the conservativeness is when he is looking at this country and calling it a democracy, but many more things that he said to where he's able to overlook Biden, Biden and Hunter, and being very passé on that, but then looking at Donald Trump saying that J6 all falls on him without even looking at the person that has the freaking power. That was Nancy Pelosi and Uganda Pittman, whatever her name is, Miss Pittman. Not even looking at them is beyond now disingenuous. It is. But what do you think? Please like, subscribe, put something down if you agree or disagree. And tell me your thoughts. And I would greatly appreciate that. On that note, I want to thank you for stopping by.